So there's just what's appearing to happen. Energy, aliveness, computering, voicing, speaking, whatever you can see, whatever you can hear, whatever you can touch. And there's no you that's hearing, feeling, touching. There's just what's appearing to happen. And this is an illumination of that, of the artificial sense that there's a you who hears, who touches, who talks, who feels. And it's energetic. It's all energetic. It's not about understanding that or knowing that, even though that can appear to arise, kind of an understanding that you are a story as opposed to being real. So in this communication, which is nobody's, which is from nothing, there are questions then that come up, and that's totally appropriate. There's a question about this, about feeling like an individual, about the sense of separation, about what's yearned for, all of that, and they just seem to be there, and they can just be asked. And there's it seems to be a question and then an answer, but it's not about getting anywhere or knowing anything. It's an energetic resonance. So let's see what happens. Hi, Katrina.
Hi, thank you. My question today would be whether you experience a sense of center or not.
So is that a question to me, whether I experience the sense of center?
Yes.
I don't really experience anything anymore. That's what falls away. So when you feel like a person, you feel like a separate sorry, 1 second. You see like a separate person to whom things are happening, and then you have experiences. So there's an experience of feeling like a center or a subject to which everything is an object, and that just collapses then. So there's just then what is appearing to happen. It's very simple, ordinary. It's just whatever is appearing to happen.
Okay.
That could even be a sense, that could even be a contraction, possibly. Anything could happen, but it wouldn't happen for me because there's no me for it to happen to. So anything could appear to happen, but it would simply just be what would it be appearing to happen. It wouldn't be, there's no significance on it or value on it, or it's just another thing that appears to happen.
Okay, so I understand, of course, that there is no you or there is no me. I understand that intellectually it's not felt. I wish it were felt. It's not. So just to clarify, there is absolutely no sense of anything like a center in you, like just a point in that.
There's no sense of a center to anything, to here or anything else. There is no center. There is, so there, and that's how everything, the opposites collapse, and there's no sense of an inner or an outer. Okay. There's just what's appearing to happen.
Okay.
And in what's appearing to happen, it can be recognized that there's a there and there's a here, but it's all a story. There's not a lived sense of there and here. It's just all energetic.
So in that sense, what is appearing is of absolutely no importance.
Everything is a play of life. So it's just is as it is real and unreal. You could say it's real and unreal. And it has the only importance would come from the individual.
The individual.
The individual is the meaning maker, really, that assigns significance to one thing over another, and that's all part of the narrative and keeping the narrative. You know,
intact.
there's a narrative of me and reality, and then that's held in place by meaning. Like it's what I assign significance to and don't is just all part of that narrative. Oh geez, my camera's gone. Sorry guys, 1 second. Here you go. You don't know what's gonna happen.
So that's an excellent example. Whatever fell, something knows that this should not be placed there for the next Zoom meeting, and you would not place it there.
It's
right?
what you're doing then is you're assigning that there's somebody free, and that's totally understandable, because for the person there has to be somebody. There has to be, because you feel like somebody. There has to be somebody else there for something to happen. For it has to be for the individual. It has to be. So as opposed to what you just said there, that there's somebody there who knows that the camera can't be placed or needs to be placed more securely on the whatever, then you see what I'm saying. There's then a signing of a person that knows that this camera needs to be placed more securely for the next Zoom meeting.
Maybe it's just the brain registering, like how do you learn to drive? The brain.
No, it's okay. I'm just answering. You just said something, and this is the response. So the response is the illumination that sense that there is somebody who would know. There needs to be somebody that would be there to know that the camera needs to be more secure, is from the sense that there's an individual, because when there's a sense of being a person, there has to be somebody else. There has to be. It's impossible. And what's being suggested is there is nobody else, and there's nobody there, and there's just what's appearing to happen, which would then be the sense that that camera needs to be a little bit of extra sticky tape on it. That would just be what would be appearing to happen.
That would be just some registration from the brain, remembering last time, and
the brain just functions. The body mind just functions, and then we add ourselves to it. That's how it works. So the brain body takes in, it's continually processing information, and then you add yourself to that information processing, because you add yourself to everything. Like for anything you can give me an example of, you're just adding yourself to it then. So you get up in the morning, you get dressed, right? And then immediately, if there's a sense of being a person, there's a sense that I got up, I got dressed, I ate my breakfast, I got in the car, and I drove to work. And what's being suggested here is that there was getting up, there was getting dressed, there was eating of breakfast, and there was driving to work. There's already nobody there. Already, it's already like there's not even anybody's. Nobody's even going to fall away here, because there's nobody to fall away even. That's also just a story.
So of course there is nobody. So nobody decides to drive to work. Nobody decides not to drive to work.
There is just driving to work. There is just eating breakfast. There is just getting up. And then what the individual adds themselves to everything continually. So there's a sense, maybe if there was a sense of being an individual there, would be like, I'm speaking now to you. So there'd be a real sense. It's like it's not an idea. It's a lived sense that I am now speaking to you. You are answering. I am speaking, you are responding, it's going back and forth. It's a lived reality for the individual. It is, it's not an idea. It's a sense that I am speaking. I am sitting in the seat. Like it's so, even down to something like, just take that simple example. I am sitting on a seat. So it's there. I am sitting on the seat. There's not just sitting on the seat. I am sitting on the seat. There's not just speaking, I am speaking. Right. And that's what's being illuminated here, that sense of I, me is a story. It's totally artificial. It's an artificial addition.
I understand that, but then something makes a decision. I'm sorry.
I love the way you keep saying, I understand that. I understand that.
I've listened to so many everybody's videos, but what makes a decision then to go to work?
Nobody makes a decision. It's just what appears to happen. It's just the functioning of the body mind. And there's the idea that there has to be somebody to make a decision, or else it wouldn't happen. That's the whole sense. The whole sense of being an individual is, if I didn't do that, if I wasn't here, right, I'd arrive in work half naked because I wouldn't have been able to dress myself. I'd be starved. I wouldn't have had my breakfast, and I probably wouldn't have arrived in work because I wouldn't even, if I'm not here, who knows how to get to work? And who knows how to do the job? Like, the individual really feels the whole thing will just totally collapse without them. And it's so endearing and gorgeous, because there is nobody already. You're already not there. There's already just what's appearing to happen.
I believe you. I believe you. I wish I
It doesn't
felt
matter.
it.
I don't want you to believe me.
I know.
I'm not asking you to
I
believe
believe
me.
you. I know it intellectually. So can I? There's
And which
nothing
is lovely, because intellectually is nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter. Knowing this is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, well, there's no resistance to it on a mental level, in that sense. There is nothing to be done then. Like, can I fake it till I make it? Like, pretend there is nobody there, or all the time keep in mind
that fake it till I make it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, there's people who do that. There's people who go talk about how they're not there, and I mean, it's an option, isn't it? Like, it's, to me, it's the most ludicrous one of them all, actually. To be like, why bother even? You know, like, why would someone say, "Oh, I no longer feel like a person," but they really do feel like a person? Like, why? Like, why? What's the point of that? I don't understand that at all. Like, if there's a sense of being separate, then all anyone can do is say, "Well, I feel there's a sense of being separate." Then that's what's appearing to happen. How would it be in somehow beneficial to say, well, there's no sense of being separate?
because I know it's an illusion.
Yeah, but what would be to gain from? I don't understand that. Like, I understand it, but it seems ridiculous to me.
Okay.
If it's as if it's somehow better to not feel like a person or something. How would it be better? Like, I mean, from here, all anybody can do is just say what's going on for them. That's all. Like, what's the point of anything else? Like, just say what's going on. So if there's a sense of there's a question, and this is why I say at the beginning, there's a question about this. It doesn't really matter. Like, if it's about what's being communicated here, then it's just there to be asked. It doesn't matter. If it's I feel separate, then that's what it is. If it's I don't feel separate, then that's what it is. It doesn't matter. Like, and how would you make it? Like, who would make it?
Just being desperate, trying to find a way, because I've done all the what is feeding the illusion of being separate.
That's the individual is desperate to find a way to what already is.
So
The individual is desperate to find a way to what already is appearing to happen.
Yes, we all are.
Well, that's what's happening.
I mean, we all that's why we're watching. We're just trying to. So
there is no all. Just to be clear, there is no all. So all anyone can do is talk about what's appearing to happen for them. There actually is no all at all. There's no all. Like, you can't talk for X other people, because there are not even other people on the Zoom call.
Sorry, yes, it's just,
you know what I mean. And even if they're in that sense that there is, then saying that we're all this or we're all that, that's also clearly just a story.
Clearly, so
there's only what's appearing to happen for any apparent person or individual. That's what's appearing to happen. Then sometimes they say, "Oh, we're all thinking this," or "We're all feeling like this," and how do they know that?
Yes,
I have no idea, absolutely no idea ever what's appearing to arise for apparent individuals when there's a Zoom call. Absolutely no clue. And there's no one speaking to an individual, because there's no individual to speak to. And so this is a boundless communication.
Okay. So just to not take the time, there is absolutely nothing to be done by the person, whether it is processing emotions that are contracting the energy of the body, and all these non-dual tips that have been given by various speakers.
Well, I'm not interested in various speakers. And if you listen to what I'm saying, I can't speak for various speakers, right? I can't speak for what I have no interest in what they're saying or commenting on what they're saying. But if you listen to me, I don't think you've ever heard me give a tip.
No.
So there you go.
No.
So who would a tip for what? To whom? Who would I give it to? It's continual illumination that there's just what's appearing to happen. There's no you that it's happening to. Therefore, there's no you who can do or not do. It's simply what's appearing to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Kenneth. Amazing. So originally I wanted to ask you about self-doubt, but meanwhile you were speaking. I mean, right now I'm speaking from the body, and this sense of wanting to talk about something is already like deleted through the previous speaking of you. Yeah. And so I can only report that I try to get on top always of what's happening. It's like I try to catch what's happening. It's like I try to that's all. Yeah, that's what I can say, honestly.
Yeah. So you try to catch it in the sense of you try and know it, is it, or try?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's like it's a energetic thing in my brain that I try to. Yeah, it's like something is happening, and I try to get on top of it. It's Anyways. Yeah, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can sense it that it doesn't matter at all what I'm saying right now. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's it. That's the way it is. It's increasingly obvious, or it's suddenly obvious, and it doesn't really matter. It's always sudden anyway. But it may appear not to be. But there's just what's appearing to happen, and that everything is completely empty of any meaning. Meaning is only something the person puts on, overlays onto everything.
Yeah. And you apparently say that, and then it's like energetically it's here also. It's like here as well. Like the moment you say exactly that, it's like here as well.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like what's being shared is just very ordinary and obvious, and it's totally already the case, and so it's already completely, totally known by everyone who's tuning into this completely.
Yeah.
But what can appear to happen, is there can be an overlay of a sense of being a person who tries to know it, tries to get it, tries to understand it, and so on. And that's what appears to happen. There's no sense here that can be stopped, or there's no sense of any kind of, you can't touch that in any way. Nothing I can say, nothing can touch that. It's just a sharing, and then the sharing resonates as it does, and then that sense of being an individual will just play out as it does, appear to continue or not. But it's just very obvious. Like people, this can resonate, and then this narrative can keep going, apparently, of, well, I haven't gotten this yet. I don't know what he's talking about yet. And it's lovely because it's just this, it's like just a thing. It's kind of like this thing that just people, do you ever see people just telling themselves something over and over, and it's completely no foundation in what's appearing to happen anymore. It may have had at some point, and then it's very obvious. It's just a thing they just keep saying over and over, and then that might be obvious to them at some point. Someone who says, I'm no good with people, or are you not, or whatever it is, and you hear them and you see, well, it's just something you keep saying over and over, and you're saying it so much and so frequently and so often, it's like as if it's solid and real to
A
you.
reality on its own.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
you keep repeating it over and over and over and over. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do that. Oh, can you not? Okay. You know, it's kind of like that a little bit.
Interesting. But I think that part also has to do when people are too long on their own, then the mind doesn't get a differential thing going on. Like when people are too long on their own, I think then their minds tend to go into that loop on top. Yeah. But anyways, that's just amazing, because when we talk, I don't understand what you're saying, and I'm understand, like, I don't understand it mentally. I can sense it here. I can sense it in the body. The conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, because like understanding it, you can't actually understand it. You can think you understand it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
people think
yeah.
they understand it. And then
Yeah,
they say,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, I know, sure, I know all
Yeah.
about that. I know all about non-duality. No, I don't know all about it.
No.
If I knew about it, this would have a different energy to it. It would be completely different energy to this if I knew it, because I would then be talking to somebody about something I know, and which is
Yes.
fine. It's not right or wrong, but it has a
Yes, yes,
different
yes.
quality to it. Then it's different energy.
Yeah.
It's the gorgeous, juicy, unknowable isness. It's just is whatever's appearing to happen. It's completely unknowable, and it's so ordinary. And obviously, just sitting on a seat, breathing. It's always new. It's always new because it's there and not there. And as opposed to something that's happening in time, sequentially, causally, causality, ding, 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 ding. That feels very real, but it can be sensed that it's a story. It's an appearance.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It's an
like
appearance that
talking from
feels it. The
memory.
appearance feels 100% real.
Yeah.
100%. I'm a person. I have a life. I was born. I'm moving through life. This happened to me last week. This happened to me 10 years ago. This happened to me 20 years ago. This is I can tell you the story. It's real, real, real. And that's the way it feels. It feels, okay, fine. That's the way it feels. And then this is a suggestion that it's a story. It's
And the
all
suggestion is
energy.
not happening for someone. It's like a suggestion just shared.
Of course, yeah,
it's
of
not
course. It
for
has to be.
someone. It's
If it
amazing.
was for somebody, that's the
Yeah.
thing. If it was for somebody, then there would be individuals then, wouldn't there? So if it was for somebody, then this isn't it then. What's appearing to happen isn't already it then. Because there's a problem. There's a real problem because there's individuals. So then something has to be done about that and that's logically, that's the 99.9% of everything that falls under this area. That's the approach that's taken. So there's a sense of separation. So they speak to that feels separate to tell them how to not be separate, and then show them how to not be separate and bring them to wholeness. And it's lovely. It's logical. It's fine. And it's very, seductive to the person. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah. It's
safe. It's very,
comforting.
very
It's
safe. Because yes, I
comforting.
feel it's comforting, and
It's comforting.
I feel
Yeah,
unworthy. Yes, I do feel unworthy, actually. Yes, I do. I love this idea of wholeness. That makes sense. And that makes sense. Work on my breath, do some breath work, bring myself back to the body, bring myself back. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Give me more stuff to do. Mindfulness, lovely. Be in the moment, lovely. That makes sense too. All of this stuff, like that's the individual and loves that stuff. It's because all it does is feed that sense of being separate. Nothing right or wrong with it. It's just what appears to happen.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's lovely to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you
Kenneth.
too, Laura.
I cannot.
Oh yeah.
Cannot basically. So this is a subject that cannot be spoken in the first place, isn't it? And
Yeah, it's impossible. But there appears to be speaking about it. It's not a thing that can be spoken about. It can only be pointed towards. That's all, really.
right. And because the more you try to explain this uh, for the listener or the audience tends to understand it, right? And
Well, I mean, some people try and explain it. There's no sense here of I'm trying to explain anything because it's a very clear scene that it's not something that's understandable or knowable. So it's very clear here that this is just a sharing from nothing, and that the sharing then resonates or doesn't, or resonates as it does, but it's not to do with any, I can't explain anything. It's unknowable. It's totally unknowable. So it's in the sharing. There's an energetic boundlessness to a clear, uncompromising communication that sees you as nothing but unconditional love, wholeness, that does not recognize you as an individual. There's an energy to that, and that can resonate.
so what is happening or what appears to be happening may not be necessarily the interpretation of the common belief or
Oh, well,
the
it's never the interpretation of it. It's never the interpretation, because it's not to do with understanding. So if you have an interpretation or an understanding of what's appearing to happen here, then that's not it. Because there is nothing happening here. This is nothing appearing to happen. And so if whatever idea is held about it, then that's just that is just an idea. It's just a concept. And what's been shared is beyond knowing and beyond concept. I don't know what I'm talking about. If I didn't know what I was talking about, then this would be a different communication. There's no sense of this. This is living in the unknown. There's just what the communication from nothing.
right. Thanks, Kenneth.
Thank you, Vipula.
Kenneth, can I jump in again?
Of course, yeah.
So would you also say that trying to understand what's happening is a way of the me to gain control? Is it like this idea of control? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean,
through understanding?
yeah, it's totally logical and
know.
normal and understandable. Like, I mean, the person tries to understand, and that's totally fine. Like, I mean, there's no suggestion that that's something wrong with that in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. So that's the way things work for the individual. There's a communication. You understand the communication. and the understanding of the communication gets you somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So you get something out of it, and it's, be it, you know, just understanding, you understand the subject better, maybe that understanding brings you some sort of benefit in some way, or gets you closer to something in some way, or helps you in some way. And that's the whole thing. But the individual isn't being spoken to here, so it doesn't matter what the individual is doing or not doing.
Good.
So if the individual, like, it's totally, of course the individual is going to try and understand what's being said, and that's totally fine. There's no issue with that at all. And all that happens is that if you listen to what's said, it's continually illuminated that this is not to do with understanding. It's a resonance. It's beyond understanding. So you can, there's plenty of people who understand it, think they understand it, and all they have is an idea or concept. However clear that is, like, I mean, you can understand logically even that there can't be an individual. You can. That's fine. There's loads of books written about it, actually, more so in the last few years. There's no individual. There can't be. Like, there's no self, there's no you inside your head. There's loads of books with these kinds of titles. They're there. A lot of them now aren't even falling under the heading of non-duality. It's too kind of pigeonholing. It's even broader than that. And they're saying there's no you there. And then the vast majority then tell you what you can then do with that.
With it, yeah.
You know, which is totally logical as well, because they're still speaking to somebody. Or the other one about that there's obviously no free will. There's no free will. I mean, there's the illusion of free will. So this is another one that's quite popular now, not uncontroversial, I would say, but, you know, still very much debated in the mainstream. But then they'll all say there's no free will, and that this is how you can
make use
this
of
is how you can make that work in your life, or this is how this can improve your life or affect your life, or this is how you can integrate this knowledge into your life, that there's no free will, that you don't have free will, or this is, and there's no you, so this is how you can integrate that into your life then. You know, so it's continually doing that. And then this communication is the clearer communication, which is the much more unpopular communication, because nobody wants to hear this one. It's not that, you know, forget about free will and all this stuff. There is no separate you. There never has been. And that simply that illumination, that there's no one there to do or not do. So this is the one that tends to be avoided in favor of another one, because I want the individual obviously wants the one that speaks to them in some way. And then the other thing that the individual can apparently do is even engage with a clearer one, but just filter it and adjust it to know it, and then, you know, that's a clever thing. So you can either you can either just reject it, or just reject it by knowing it anyway and integrating it into something else, you know, which is a nice way of interesting as well. But all of that doesn't matter anyway, because it's just what appears to happen. There's just unconditional love. There's just energy. As thinking about how to point without a direction. Do you want to say anything about that, Ivan? Maybe not. It's okay.
I'm home with my child.
No worries. Yeah. As
you were saying you could only point. You could only you can only point to this.
Whatever you're talking about. Okay, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not a thing even that you can point to. It's the immediacy of what's been like, what's yearned for when you feel like an individual, feel like a separate individual. What's yearned for, this is the huge paradox. What's yearned for is simply already just what's appearing to happen. And the energy of feeling like a separate individual is a rejection of what appears to happen in favor of something that might happen. And it's like this simulation of the way life should be, and then filtering everything and pulling in some things that confirm this reality and pushing away other things. And so there's a living in, apparently, living in our own protected reality from a world that's outside of us. And that's what appears to happen. And this is the suggestion or the illumination that all of that's just a story. And then there is no direction, and you're never not home, because there's just what's appearing to happen. As who was it, Wayne Lickerman said, there's no, when you have no you're always home when you have no destination. I mean, there is nowhere to get to. And that's what collapses, a sense that like this is then enough, because it's whole and complete, and it's whatever appears in it is what's appearing in it. And it's very obvious that there's nowhere around the corner that's better.
If nobody's asking a question, as the sense of separation is not real, the sense of me is not real.
Appearance.
The appearance, yeah, it's an appearance.
So it appears real. It's not an idea for the apparent individual. It's absolutely real for the individual. It's a lived reality for the individual.
Yes.
So it's not a concept that I'm a person. You could say it's a concept, but it's a contracted reality that I feel in my body. I'm in here. It's my body. It's my life. So there's life and there's me with my life, and I have control over my life, which way it goes, which way it doesn't go. And I am living my life. That's a lived feeling. And
right.
That's what appears to happen until it isn't a lived feeling. And when it isn't, it's just very obvious. You'll hear many people talk about this, that sense of being a separate, having a life, living a life was always a story. So it didn't even really stop. It appeared to stop. It appeared to fall away, but it was clearly just a story, an artificial overlay.
So as an artificial overlay, right, to use your words, there is nothing that can be practiced, done, thought, nothing, right? So just sit there
and who would just sit there?
The artificial overlay. There's nothing to be done, really.
There's nothing to be done.
Okay.
There's nothing to be done. So there's what yearned for is completely unobtainable and unknowable, and simply whatever appears to be, and completely inescapable, totally inescapable. So if there was watching this going, all right, I've had enough, of this Irish dude, don't want to hear this anymore, and is turning off the Zoom, right? And is getting up and walking, then turning off the Zoom and getting up and walking out of the room is what's appearing to happen. It's aliveness. It's completely inescapable what's yearned for. There's simply only what's appearing to happen. And there it seems that there's just a yearning for this character to give some sort of tip as to maybe just sit and do nothing or just whatever. And that's not unusual at all. And unconditional love is the illumination that there's no already just what's appearing to happen. There's no you that it's happening to. And unconditional love is not feeding that individual.
Right. So what
not
about
recognizing that individual?
What about the hope of the repetition of this message, which is, at this point, I could use your words, I can answer to myself, because it's, you can learn the words by heart, but the repetition of this message could it break through the
no,
illusion?
no, because then you're applying this to something that will then make something happen. So that's still in the story, that if I repeat this, then something might happen, and then I will then there will be wholeness. And what's being suggested is there's already just wholeness. There's already no separate you there. Right. So therefore there's nothing that needs to be done.
So the yearning to listen to you is just what is appearing to happen, and
exactly the yearning
I
is
go with it because there's nothing I can do about it. I just continue listening until
well, you're not continuing to listen.
Whatever.
You're not continuing to go with it. You're not, there's no you there. That's what I'm saying. Yes. The yearning is excuse me, it is already the yearning. Yeah. So it's just if yearning's what's appearing to happen, then it's yearning. Then yearning's what's appearing to happen. Okay. Then it is yearning. The individual feels there's a sense that it is one thing and it's not the other. And generally the thing that it's not is all the unpleasant things. Confusion, yearning, pain, discomfort, all of those things can't be them. And this is dualism. This is the sense of being separate person, is this play of opposites and a pulling in of one and a pushing away of another. And then it's a half alive sense then being a person, because there's a continual comforting. Yearning is already it.
Yearning is already okay.
Yeah.
We will. Okay, I'm not saying anything anymore. Okay,
you didn't say anything to begin with.
Yeah, I didn't say. Thank you.
Thanks. very simple and ordinary. There's just what's appearing to happen. Thanks, guys. I have a meeting this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So it's 2 to 5:30. So it's the whole afternoon on both days, blended and in person. But I was very tardy getting it out there. So I'm sure we have a couple of people, I think, signed up in person, but it's in Galway City. And there's obviously then there'll be more people on Zoom. So it'll be blended. And it's on my website, on the homepage there, the links to it. So if anyone's interested, there you go. And there's a couple more places on the residential as well, but I'll send a separate email. Zoom user is just coming in to say goodbye to us. Tardy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you
Thank
soon.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Bye.
you, Kenneth.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you so much.